The Galactic Empire's flagship, the Conqueror, sliced through the fabric of hyperspace, emerging in the quiet orbit of an unassuming blue planet. Emperor Zorrak stood at the bridge, gazing down at Earth with a mix of arrogance and curiosity. Beside him, General Xylox and scientist Vorton awaited their orders, their confidence mirroring the Emperor's. Another primitive world ripe for conquest, Zorrak mused, his voice a low rumble that echoed through the control room. Prepare the scout ships. General Xylox nodded sharply. Yes, Emperor. We shall survey the planet and identify key locations for our base. Scientist Vorton, always eager for new data, added, Our technology far surpasses anything these humans can muster. This should be a swift and decisive operation. With a flick of his clawed hand, Zorrak dismissed them. Proceed. The sleek scout ships descended, entering Earth's atmosphere and spreading out to their designated coordinates. One landed in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, another in the vast expanse of the Sahara Desert, and a third in the rugged terrain of the Himalayas. The Amazon team, led by Lieutenant Kryn, stepped into a world unlike any they had encountered. Towering trees blocked out the sun, and the air was thick with humidity and the buzz of insects. Kryn's initial confidence wavered as swarms of biting insects attacked the scouts, their energy shields barely holding. Report, came General Xylox's voice through the communicator. Kryn swatted at a persistent mosquito. Insects are more aggressive than anticipated. We're having difficulty maintaining our equipment. In the Sahara, the scouts faced a different set of challenges. Captain Ryan shielded his eyes from the glaring sun, his squad already struggling with the heat. Suddenly, a sandstorm erupted, whipping grains of sand with a ferocity that short-circuited their advanced machinery. Captain Ryan, status? Xylox's impatience was evident. Severe sandstorm, sir. Equipment is malfunctioning. We need backup. Meanwhile, in the Himalayas, Commander Dravik's team battled the biting cold and treacherous terrain. The thin air and constant threat of avalanches tested their resolve. Despite their advanced suits, frostbite and exhaustion set in quickly. Commander Dravik, report. Dravik's voice was strained. Extreme cold. Avalanches. We're losing men. Back on the Conqueror, the reports painted a grim picture. Emperor Zorrak listened, his expression growing darker with each transmission. General Xylox fumed silently, his pride wounded by these unexpected setbacks. Enough. Zorrak finally commanded. Return to base. We will reassess. As the scouts limped back to the flagship, bruised and battered by Earth's unforgiving nature, a sense of unease settled over the Imperial leaders. This primitive planet, which they had dismissed as an easy target, was proving to be anything but. Emperor Zorrak stared at the blue orb rotating below them. We may have underestimated this world, he admitted. General Xylox, prepare for a full-scale invasion. We will conquer this planet, no matter the cost. As the orders were relayed and preparations began, a flicker of doubt crept into Zorrak's mind. Earth was not just another planet to be dominated. It was a living, breathing entity that seemed determined to fight back. The Conqueror's engines roared to life as the invasion fleet mobilized, ready to descend upon Earth. The battle for the planet's future was about to begin, and the Galactic Empire would soon learn that some worlds could not be tamed. The Conqueror hovered ominously above Earth, a symbol of the Galactic Empire's might. Emperor Zorrak stood tall, his gaze fixed on the planet below. Deploy the invasion forces, he ordered, his voice a cold command that echoed through the bridge. General Xylox relayed the command, his determination renewed. All units, initiate landing sequence. Secure the designated zones. Massive dropships descended from the flagship, spreading across Earth's surface. The invasion began with a coordinated assault on key regions: the Amazon rainforest, the Sahara Desert, and the Himalayas. In the Amazon, Lieutenant Kryn led a battalion of heavily armed troops into the dense jungle. Their advanced technology, designed to conquer worlds, seemed out of place amid the wild, untamed nature. The troops moved cautiously, their sensors scanning for threats. Suddenly, a jaguar leaped from the underbrush, its fangs bared. The soldiers fired their energy weapons, but the beast was unnaturally swift, evading the blasts and vanishing into the foliage. Kryn frowned, realizing this was no ordinary predator. In the Sahara, Captain Ryan's troops faced relentless heat and blowing sand. Their equipment struggled to function in the harsh conditions. "Keep moving!" Ryan shouted, pushing his men forward. They trudged through the desert, their water supplies dwindling. A sudden sandstorm erupted, blinding them. Out of the swirling sand emerged a group of desert nomads, their camels and horses navigating the storm with ease. The nomads launched a surprise attack, using primitive but effective weapons to drive back the invaders. Meanwhile, in the Himalayas, Commander Dravik's unit battled the freezing cold and thin air. The alien troops, despite their protective gear, found the environment unforgiving. They climbed treacherous slopes, struggling to maintain their footing. Out of the blinding snow, a pack of wolves appeared, their eyes gleaming with intelligence. The wolves attacked with a coordinated ferocity that left the alien soldiers scrambling. Dravik fought back, but the wolves' knowledge of the terrain gave them an overwhelming advantage. Back on the Conqueror, reports of resistance and high casualties poured in. General Xylox clenched his fists, his frustration growing. "We underestimated this planet," he admitted reluctantly. Emperor Zorrak's eyes narrowed. "This world will not defy us. Increase the deployment. Bring in the heavy artillery." As reinforcements descended, the alien invaders faced growing resistance not just from the environment, but from the human inhabitants who had begun to organize. In the Amazon, indigenous tribes set traps and used the jungle to their advantage. In the Sahara, nomads continued their guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly and vanishing into the desert. In the Himalayas, mountain climbers and local villagers joined forces with the wolves, using their knowledge of the terrain to outmaneuver the invaders. The humans, resilient and resourceful, proved to be formidable opponents. Despite the Empire's advanced technology and overwhelming numbers, Earth's defenders held their ground. Emperor Zorrak watched the unfolding chaos with a mix of anger and disbelief. "How can this be?" he muttered. Empire's forces were struggling against the relentless challenges of Earth's natural defenses and the surprising resilience of its inhabitants. The battle was far from over, and the Galactic Empire would soon realize that conquering Earth was a far more daunting task than they had ever imagined. Scientist Vorton paced the laboratory aboard the Conqueror, frustration etched on his features. "We've underestimated this planet's defenses. We need to understand these ecosystems if we are to conquer them." Emperor Zorrak, his patience wearing thin, nodded. "Do what you must, Vorton. We cannot afford further delays." Vorton assembled a team and dispatched them to gather samples from the Amazon, Sahara, and Himalayas. Their mission: analyze the flora, fauna, and weather patterns that had thwarted their initial efforts. The scientists' curiosity and desperation fueled their work. In the Amazon, Vorton's team marveled at the intricate web of life. The dense foliage, teeming with countless species, seemed to conspire against the invaders. They observed how insects, birds, and predators interacted in a delicate balance. However, every attempt to capture and study these creatures ended in disaster. Venomous snakes bit through their protective gear, and aggressive ants swarmed over their equipment. In the Sahara, the team faced relentless heat and shifting sands. They struggled to understand how life thrived in such a harsh environment. Nomads, initially wary, eventually approached, offering their insights. Vorton's team learned that the desert was not a lifeless wasteland but a complex ecosystem where every organism had adapted to survive. Despite their efforts, the sandstorms and extreme temperatures continued to wreak havoc on their machinery. High in the Himalayas, Vorton himself led the expedition. The frigid cold and thin air challenged even the most advanced technology. The team studied the hardy plant life and the resilient animals, like the elusive snow leopards. Local villagers, hardened by generations of surviving in the mountains, provided valuable knowledge. Yet, every step forward was met with an avalanche or a sudden blizzard, undoing their progress. Back on the Conqueror, the reports painted a grim picture. General Xylox, desperate to prove his worth, suggested more aggressive measures. "We should use defoliants in the Amazon, Emperor," burned through the foliage and exposed their hiding places. Emperor Zorrak, wary of further escalation, hesitated. "Proceed with caution, General. We must not destroy the resources we aim to claim." As defoliants were deployed, the Amazon responded violently. Fires raged uncontrollably, smoke choking the alien troops. Wildlife, driven from their homes, attacked with a renewed ferocity. The jungle's wrath only intensified, turning nature itself into an impenetrable fortress. In the Sahara, attempts to cool the environment with advanced technology backfired. The machinery broke down, causing more casualties and further weakening the Empire's position. The nomads, undeterred, continued their hit-and-run tactics, exploiting every weakness. In the Himalayas, Vortin's team faced their most harrowing challenge. A massive snowstorm trapped them in a mountain pass, and they were forced to rely on the villagers for survival. The locals' respect for the mountain contrasted sharply with the invaders' arrogance, highlighting a fundamental flaw in the Empire's approach. Despite their setbacks, humans across the globe began to coordinate their efforts. In the Amazon, tribes and wildlife worked in harmony, setting traps and ambushing the invaders. In the Sahara, nomads shared tactics with distant tribes, creating a network of resistance. In the Himalayas, villagers and climbers used their knowledge to guide and protect their allies. The Empire's forces were in disarray, struggling against the relentless challenges of Earth's natural defenses and the united front of its inhabitants. Emperor Zorrak's frustration grew, but so did his grudging respect for the planet's resilience. The stage was set for a final, desperate confrontation, and the outcome was far from certain. The Conqueror's bridge buzzed with frantic activity as reports of escalating casualties and equipment failures streamed in. Emperor Zorrak stood at the center, his stern expression betraying a flicker of doubt. "General Xylox, what is the status of our forces?" he demanded. General Xylox, his face lined with fatigue, replied, "Our troops are struggling to maintain their positions. The environmental challenges and coordinated human resistance are proving insurmountable. We need to reconsider our approach." Emperor Zorrak clenched his fists, his pride warring with practicality. "Order a tactical retreat. Regroup and reassess." The command echoed through the fleet. Dropships lifted off from the Amazon, Sahara, and Himalayas, carrying wounded soldiers and damaged equipment. In the Amazon, Lieutenant Krin's battered battalion fought their way to the extraction point, pursued by relentless wildlife. The once proud invaders now moved with a desperation born of survival, not conquest. In the Sahara, Captain Ryan's troops, dehydrated and disoriented, stumbled towards their departing ships. The desert nomads watched from a distance, their expressions a mix of relief and triumph. As the last dropship ascended, a fierce sandstorm swallowed the landscape, leaving no trace of the invaders' presence. High in the Himalayas, Commander Dravik's unit braved the blizzard, guided by the villagers who had once been their adversaries. The snowstorm howled, and the mountains seemed to reject the alien presence. The villagers' knowledge and resilience were the lifeline that ensured the troops' survival until the final extraction. Back on the Conqueror, the atmosphere was tense. Scientist Vortin presented his findings, a comprehensive study of Earth's ecosystems and their unexpected defenses. "Emperor, Earth's nature is intricately balanced and highly adaptive. Our technology cannot easily overcome such dynamic and resilient systems." Emperor Zorrak's expression softened with reluctant admiration. "We underestimated both the planet and its inhabitants. This is a lesson we will not forget." General Xylox, humbled by the experience, nodded in agreement. "What are your orders, Emperor?" Zorrak stared at the blue orb, his mind turning. "We withdraw from Earth and mark it as a no-go zone. This planet is more valuable as an example of nature's power than as a conquest." The announcement was met with a mixture of relief and disappointment among the crew. The Empire's grand plans of domination were thwarted, but they had gained a profound respect for Earth's untamed spirit. As the Conqueror ascended, leaving Earth's atmosphere, humans around the globe celebrated their victory. In the Amazon, tribes and wildlife reclaimed their territory, the scars of battle healing swiftly. In the Sahara, nomads returned to their lives, their unity strengthened by the shared struggle. In the Himalayas, villagers and climbers honored their lost but reveled in their triumph. Emperor Zorrak, back in his quarters, reflected on the campaign's failure. The humans and their planet had shown a resilience and tenacity that no technology could easily overcome. He vowed to approach future conquests with greater respect for the natural world and its inhabitants. The Conqueror vanished into the depths of space, leaving Earth scarred but victorious. The story of the invasion became a legend, a testament to the strength of nature and the indomitable spirit of humanity. The Galactic Empire would remember this lesson for generations, marking Earth as a symbol of defiance and resilience. The saga of Earth's untamed defenders would be told and retold, a beacon of hope and strength in the face of adversity.